I'm Anna Boustead, the CEO of the Indigenous Carbon Industry Network. We're gathered here on Larrakia country for the 2025 North Australia Savanna Fire Forum. When I cast my mind back to 2018, there were 150 people at that event at CDU. Since that time, 7 years ago, the event has now grown to 500 people attending from all around Australia and now also from all around the world. We have 22 international delegates, which is fantastic. And since then, we've also seen a strong growth in a number of Indigenous speakers, which I think has been a real sign of the success of the forum over the years. It's hard to imagine how we could squeeze any more people in. We've moved to the convention centre, which is a much bigger venue than the other venue at CDU. Who knows, maybe we'll look at moving the event to another place. That's always an option to shake things up a bit, but we're always looking for fresh ideas for every forum. We don't want each forum to be the same every year. We've seen a tremendous amount of interest in this forum. Every year we're overwhelmed by the level of interest. A lot of our members and a lot of the people we work with work in very remote areas of Australia and particularly across the north. People are very busy managing their country all throughout the year. So this is a rare opportunity for everybody to get together and share knowledge, share their experiences, hear the latest scientific updates and policy updates, all towards improving practice and improving our industry. We have an event working group that includes a lot of our member organisations, representatives, and so they inform the program of the forum. And the program includes a lot of the latest methods that are in development, either through our members, also some of the government-led methods. And the government does genuinely want to hear from Indigenous people, their views on methods. So they do provide some support to the forum, and they have attended the forum today. So I guess by inputting into discussions about the new methods, that's a really important way to inform them, and continuing to also ask the government to continue to resource Indigenous organisations to be able to give that feedback into new methods is really important as well. The two new Savanna fire management methods that are in development through the government, they will account for more of the carbon that is in the environment, particularly in the living environment, for the first time. So that means that more carbon credits will be generated from doing that same activity of Savanna fire management. That is a big opportunity for Indigenous groups across the Savanna who already have Savanna fire management projects, but also for those groups where it may not be feasible at the moment for them to have a project. It may help them to make their project more viable. Those methods, though, do change the way that carbon is counted and do also require a long-term commitment to that project for 25 or 100 years. So it is a really important decision that requires a lot of discussion, and it's really for those groups to consider what the opportunities and the risks of taking on those new methods might be. The Indigenous Carbon Industry Network advocates for recognition of Indigenous rights to carbon. This is really important because the rights to the carbon credit is how the revenue is generated from these projects. So whoever has the rights to the carbon is who benefits from the project. It's really important that Indigenous rights to carbon are embedded in policy and legislation, because that is how the carbon credits can be recognised. So it's really important that all those Indigenous rights to carbon are recognised through those instruments, including the Carbon Farming Initiative Act. So the network has advocated strongly for Indigenous recognition of Indigenous rights to carbon, and we've had some success in the last few years with getting the ability of a carbon company to register a project without consent. We've successfully advocated for that to be removed by government, and that means there's now greater encouragement of free, prior, informed consent practices within the carbon industry. There is still a long way to go. We need to keep educating the carbon industry and keep educating government and policymakers, because forums such as this really demonstrate there is still a big gap in understanding between the Indigenous land and sea managers that are working so hard every day to manage their country, and the policy makers that are overseeing the environmental and climate change legislation. So we need to just keep facilitating discussions and informing those discussions so that we can bring about better outcomes. It would be really great to see Indigenous people leading not only in the Savanna fire management industry, but also across the entire carbon industry. There's so much opportunity emerging in land restoration and land and sea management. So if those market opportunities are emerging, it would be fantastic to see Indigenous people leading those opportunities in recognition of all of that traditional knowledge they have over many generations. We are at a really critical time now, and it would just be a shame to lose that opportunity. We're continuing to foster really important informed discussions about this and to support Indigenous-led events such as the forum in future. This job is really inspiring. Every day is different. I'm really privileged to be able to work for an incredible leadership of Aboriginal leaders, and we have an amazing board. We have incredible members who are doing world-class land sea management. To see it all come together at events like this is just really exciting and really inspiring. If this forum didn't exist, it would be a great loss to the sector because everybody works in very remote areas, and so there really isn't any other opportunity through the year to come together and to share knowledge like there is at the Savanna Fire Forum. Everybody is very busy throughout the year with their land management, so this is a really rare opportunity for everybody to get together, and a lot of people have travelled a long way. We've got people coming many hundreds of kilometres to be here.